And we're live. It is Monday, the 8th day of September, the year of our Lord 2025. Holly is not on camera because she is currently cleaning up dog vomit. Uh, Mike is sulking because the tariffs are preventing him from acquiring in a timely fashion the materials he needs for his animatronic Halloween decorations. And I am puzzling over the fascinating fact that I signed into Google Analytics this morning to take a look at lawfare traffic, as I am sometimes wont to do, and found that the number one city in the world for sending traffic to lawfare at this hour right now is Augsburg, Germany. And I thought to myself, why are there 7 people in Augsburg reading lawfare? Or is this really just that 7 people elsewhere are using a VPN whose servers are in Augsburg? Or is there something about lawfare that is today seizing the imagination of the population of Augsburg? And just for reference, there are only 4 people on lawfare right now from New York City. So if we adjust for population demographics, I don't know what the relative population of New York City versus English speakers in Augsburg is, but it's going to be a big differential. So the per capita use of lawfare in Augsburg right now is sky high. And so to the people of Augsburg, I just want to say, may you have a peaceful day. I don't, I, you know, Excellent. Sign up, become material supporters of lawfare. We're gonna have a whole sister cities program between lawfare and Augsburg. I don't remember anything about there's a piece of Augsburg, right? Am I
I don't know. I
missing?
mean, Augsburg does have, if I'm correct, I think it's got a sizable U.S. military base. I mean, I would guess that there are still hopefully DoD personnel who read lawfare on a regular basis.
No, I am correct. There is the
There is.
piece of Augsburg, according to the AI overview by Google, is signed in 1555, and it is a treaty that ended the religious wars between Catholics and Lutherans in the Holy Roman Empire, establishing the principle of cuius regio, eius religio, which meant that the ruler of a territory could impose his official religion. And so I just want to say to all the residents of Augsburg, may you have a particularly peaceful day. May your ruler and only your ruler choose your official religion. And enjoy lawfare, all 7 of you. It is rare that Augsburg kicks New York's ass in the lawfare consumption department, but peace out, guys. All right, we've really exhausted the piece of Augsburg joke here. Um, all of which is to say that Holly has now returned from the cleaning dog vomit escapade
Now,
for now. The cactuses are getting ready for their moment in the sun. See, Holly, that was a tip. Um, Look, it's the sun is shining, the birds are chirping. It's going to be a great freaking day, and
You're watching Dog Shirt TV, a forking revolution in morning television.
you are watching Dog Shirt TV, and it is a goddamn revolution in morning television. And one of the revolutionary features, of which there are many, is that I saw Holly Berkley Fletcher this weekend, and she was carrying a large sign that said, uh,
so much wrong, so little cardboard.
that's right, so much wrong, so
Shout out
little.
to my friend Tammy who makes the best signs.
And it was great, and that's really not a revolutionary feature of the show, but whatevs. And another one of the revolutionary features of the show is that I texted the show list today, who's coming on the show today, and Holly says, I have a story. And I later learned that the story may have something to do with dog vomit and a dead squirrel. Um, and
Oh
still
boy.
and still another one of the revolutionary features of the show is that Mike Feinberg will be here as long as baby tolerance lasts. So, all of which is a long winded way of saying that we are not allowed to have fun anymore. But we apparently are allowed to have a story from Holly involving hunting squirrels, dog vomit, and uh, uh,
Art.
and
Art.
art. So,
A
Holly,
lot
the
of
floor
it's a
is
complex
yours.
narrative.
Spin out this narrative at, as they say in Congress, whatever length the gentle lady from Kenya should require.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to point out that every time I'm on here with Mike Feinberg, even though he has a newborn baby, he appears to be showered and dressed. And I am never showered or dressed when I appear on the show, unless Ann Applebaum is on the show, in which case I'm not showered, but I am dressed.
Well,
So
I
I'm not a morning person.
never shower and dress before. In fact, usually on Dog Shirt TV, as people who work at Lawfare can tell you, I am wearing yesterday's dog shirt because I don't actually put on today's dog shirt until I shower and dress, which is after our morning meeting and after I then take the dogs to the park. So for
Anyway,
those who
nicely done, Mike Feinberg,
to
to
are
be
not
clean
showered,
and
and they
dressed.
say Mike's an FBI guy. He gets up at like 4 in the morning and goes to the gym and showers and dresses and catches bad guys because they have to kick in the doors at 6 in the morning at John Bolton's house. They can't. They don't operate on normal human hours.
Okay, well, he does have a newborn. But anyway, yeah, so it was first of all, to set the stage, it was a very busy, wonderfully busy weekend. I did see Benjamin Wittes and the entire Wittes family, except for maybe Papa Wittes. Your mother was there, but I didn't see your dad. I saw your uncle. Is that
My
right?
uncle was there, came in from Connecticut for that
Wow.
event. Yeah, and brought
Anyway,
two gorgeous hand painted
they
signs.
were amazing. I took pictures of them. I sent it to you. Anyway, the DC protest was very large, guys. Ben, you left before the procession down 16th Street, but
I did because the dogs were getting a little
it
out of
was hot.
control.
It was
Yeah.
really hot and humid, and there was a lot of unnecessary delay on departing Meridian Hill Park. But once the procession started, I was kind of near the back of the procession from the top of Meridian Hill Park onto 16th Street. And so, and that those who've been know DC and have been to Meridian Hill Park or Malcolm X Park, whatever it goes by both, it's a very steep hill, and so you can see down 16th Street. It's kind of a dramatic view to the White House. And I mean, it was people almost all the way down 16th Street from what I could see. So I'm not good at estimating crowd size, but I think it was a very sizable, by Donald Trump standards, it was huge. It was huge. It was probably, bigger than his inauguration, but that's not saying much. So that was fantastic. I will return if I have time this morning to talk about my love of football. The football season the NFL season kicked off, and the first real college game for me was this weekend. We went to the Taylor Swift engagement party. I thought I might have seen Janine, but given that I've only seen Janine on Zoom, I couldn't be certain it was her. So you should
I will
text her.
text her and find out.
Text her and ask her if she was wearing a silver sequin sparkle jacket. Because I thought I might have seen her across the room. I saw someone who looked like Janine. I did not see Anna Bauer or Kay Pomps, although I think I would recognize Anna Bauer. I don't know that I would recognize Kay Pomps in real life. And then on Sunday,
They
I
were in New York in any event, so
Oh, they were. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, it was fun. It was far too late though. My daughter, I went with my 17-year-old, and who was born an old soul, and I told her it started at like the doors open. It was a 9:30 club, and the doors opened at 9. It did not actually start until 10. And she's like, I don't know if I can make it. She's like, we're not going to stay very long. So we stayed about an hour and a half and got home before midnight. And yeah, so that was fun. So then yesterday, I also had a busy day. I sang in the church choir, and then I went to the other service that my family goes to, and then I hosted a lunch after church for our little activist group at our church, and then I held another art party to make this art, because I wanted to build up a nice supply to sell at my book event on September 11th. If you're in DC, or even in the environs, you can come to my church. It's not a religious event. We don't try to convert anyone. We're not those kind of Christians. It's just a open to the public free event. There'll be cupcakes. Sarah McCammon from NPR will be there selling her book and signing her book as well. It'll be a great event. You should come, because it's very, authors really hate to walk into a room and have like 5 people there. So please
except
come.
Jonathan Rausch.
Yeah, and you apparently. Um, and that art
I'm
will be
used to it, I'm afraid.
that art will be for sale. All proceeds benefiting Ukraine at the book event, as well as my book being for sale. But so a bunch of friends came over. We had a very large for
I'm
the
still
art.
waiting for the eating the squirrel.
Okay, you have to build. You can't just like go to the pun. You have to build. You have to build. Have you not ever read a book, like a
Look, I mean,
novel?
I was promised a
Mike,
squirrel
you're
murder.
unmuted.
Ooh, Mike, you're muted. I was promised a squirrel murder,
Get there.
and I feel like this is like a big tease.
Okay, well, that's the point though, right? You got to build it up. So we had a good showing for the art party. In fact, I did not limit numbers because the weather was so nice. So we did it outside in the patio where there's more space, and we filled the patio. So we had a very good showing, and so my dog, who Ben has met. Have you been bitten by my dog? Because that's kind of a rite
No,
of passage.
Lilo has always been very well behaved around me, which
Mm.
makes me think that you may be defaming him.
Oh, wait till you hear this story. Okay. So Lilo is actually not a very good host. We often have to muzzle him when people come over because he has been known to not severely bite anyone, but snap at people. And he has made contact with people's skin, and it's not great. And he does this thing where he acts like he wants you to pet him, and he like comes and like wags and licks your hand, and then you people pet him, and then he like snaps at them.
Bite,
I
bait, and
think
switch.
I think he's a bit of a psychopath, actually. So he's not ever a good host, and then he barks. He just creates so much trouble. And so hosting events, I'm always nervous. What is Lilo gonna do? Um, and so everybody's there. I get everybody going, and then he's just like barking like a mad man. Like he's just like, it starts over by a tree and then it moves, and he just will not shut up. It's just like incessant, incessant, incessant. So I decide I need to investigate, and um, I know I go around, and he's got it's not like a tiny baby, but it's a juvenile squirrel, like cornered in. First, it was like kind of along the side of the house, um, and and so I'm investigating, and then when I'm investigating, the squirrel like shoots out and runs underneath the deck, underneath kind of the deck area, and of course Lilo goes after him, and I can't, it's like way under the deck. I'm not sure what to do. So I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave this for a bit and hopefully he'll lose interest or maybe like try to put him in the house. But then I knew he'd be barking at the door. So I was like, I don't know what to do about this. And I'm running back and forth from Lilo to the art people, making sure like they have what they need. I'm trying to be a gracious host. I'm trying to like, be chill. I'm not, and that's the other thing. I'm a terrible like multitasker. So I love people and I love having people over. But when you add like food and drink and art and music, I didn't have music, but like you start layering like things that you tend to, and I quickly just kind of, yeah, I'm not, that's one of my things that I wish I was better at. So I'm like running back and forth trying to like do hostess things, and then I'm running back to Lilo, what is going on? Anyway, I go and investigate again, and he's got this squirrel, but he's not killing it. He's like just playing with the squirrel. And the squirrel is obviously injured, and yet he's not killing the squirrel. Like terriers, he's part terrier, and the terriers are supposed to grab the rodent quickly, break the neck immediately and humanely. And that's, and then it's dead. This is not what Lilo was doing. He was playing with the squirrel. He was biting the squirrel. The squirrel, it was very sad.
Misha used to do this with baby rabbits.
Yeah, it was super sad. And I couldn't, and then I'm like, I've got to get this thing to put it out of its misery. It was so
Did
sad.
you kill a squirrel, Holly?
No, no. No, I didn't. I was an accessory, I have to say, because as I was trying to rescue the squirrel, I apparently pushed it into Lilo's jowls further. But I was trying to like grab the squirrel and like rescue it and take it somewhere else, like outside the backyard. And I
So
had
you had intent to kill.
No, I had intent to save, I had intent to save. So I mean, so I'm also like, I'm not in nice clothes, but like I'm in a casual, but I'm in a dress. I'm in a dress. I have sandals on, and then I've got big gloves on, and I'm trying to like crawl under the deck. I'm like crawling under the deck. I've got like a dozen people sipping wine and doing art over.
Did they know this was going on at the time?
Yeah, I kept talking. They didn't seem that interested, but I kept like updating them like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I've got to go get a bucket. Oh no, I've got to go get like I've got to go get some gloves." And they saw me like going with a bucket and like big gloves on, and then they couldn't see me crawling under the house, but I had to like crawl under the house. But I still couldn't reach it. It was like way under there, and there was limits to where I was going to crawl, and it's not like it's like that high. So I'm like, I'm not going to be able to crawl. So I'm like, fuck it, just leave the squirrel. At least he stopped barking. I'm sorry for the squirrel torture, but I can't do anything here. There's only so much I can do. I'm going to just move on with my life. So I go back over to the art party.
And that's, by the way, a metaphor for all of us in the Trump era, because at some point we all say, fuck it, like look, I can, whether it's, Sudan or Gaza or Ukraine or domestic roundups of people being tackled by ICE folks, eventually we all say, oh, fuck it, I just have to live my life. And for Holly, she reached her limit with a squirrel being tortured under her house.
Yeah.
We all have our limits.
Yeah, and I do have to accept responsibility. Like the more I tried to rescue the squirrel, or like to try to get the worse it got for the squirrel. Like I think I injured the squirrel. I was using a stick at one point, trying to like, I was using a shovel, trying to like move it towards me so I could grab it, and I'm sure I just made it worse. I feel terrible this morning. But so anyway, I'm like, I don't like, what am I supposed to do? I'm in a dress. I've got 12 people, over there. I'm trying to like raise
right, and that's kind of the way I feel about ICE raids. I mean, what am I supposed to do at the end of the day? I'm wearing a dress. I've got people over.
I'm trying to make art for Ukraine. I'm trying to like,
you try to do your best.
I'm trying to do
but
civilized
eventually
activism.
You don't control Lilo, and I don't control ICE, and
So anyway, I go back over, I take off, I put the bucket down, I take off the gloves, I like, I get dust off all the dust. I'm trying to like get myself together, and I sit down and I'm chatting with the guests and like
And
how's
you've
the
got
art going.
this bleeding squirrel on your
No,
mind.
it's worse than that. So then a little time passes, and then here comes Lilo with the squirrel carcass, like right into the middle of the party, like runs around all the tables, and everybody's like shrieking at that point, like, "Oh my God, squirrel!" And I'm like, this is what I've been dealing with. I'm trying to, convey what's going on. So I'm like, oh, well, I've got to obviously, I can't like let the dog like tour the art party with a squirrel carcass. Like, I've got to do
And is the
something about
squirrel
it.
dead by this point,
I'm pretty sure.
or
Yeah.
is it a living carcass of the
I
type
think
that Mike would make an animatronic Halloween
it was at least
design
mostly
with?
dead. Miracle Max might have been able to resurrect it with his miracle pill, but it was mostly dead. So then I rush over. Put the gloves back on, the big rubber gloves, and then I'm like, I've got to get this squirrel away from Lilo, who is, I mean, the ego. Like, he was very proud of himself.
I'll bet. Well, he had a big day. He caught a
He
squirrel.
was prancing around himself. And sorry, there's a leaf blower outside my house. He was prancing around, just like, look at me. Like, I'm amazing. I killed a squirrel. What did you do today? Like, he's just like super proud. And so, he is feisty, as you know. Like, he will bite me. Like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to have to like wrestle this squirrel away. But fortunately, when I approached him and then like he dropped the squirrel, I think because he wanted to show it off like further. And so then I just grabbed the squirrel again, just with my gloved hands, just grabbed the squirrel and just ran out of the patio as fast as I could. Fortunately, there were a couple garbage bags in the garage, and I put it in, double bagged that, tied it up, and put it in the dumpster. And then I took the gloves off and profusely, washed my hands and got myself all together. But yeah, that was the excitement of the. And now today, this morning, he didn't eat the squirrel. The squirrel was intact. But I don't know if that has something to do with, like, he literally, as we were starting the show, just vomited up mounds of things all over this floor. And so then I had to clean that up. This dog, daily I ask myself, why? Why do I live like this? Why do I have this dog? This dog we got in the process of grieving our last dog. My son and I, stupid me, my husband tried to warn me. He's like, do not go to a rescue event right now in your fragile state. And I was like, but I think it would help to get another dog. We're going to go to the rescue event. And my husband was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And so I took my son, also a mistake, never involve a child, to this rescue event. And my son fixated on this dog because there's some similarities there, my son and the dog. That's all I'm going to say about that. He fixated on this dog, and this dog is, I don't know, man. And I can't do anything about it now because I'm attached. My son would it would crush him to give the dog away or take it back. Nobody else would deal with this dog. That's the other thing. If I take this dog back to the rescue, he's not getting another home. Trust me about that.
All right. So I just want to suggest that this was a successful event. The dog got to chase a squirrel. The squirrel, well, it didn't work out that well for the squirrel.
No, but squirrels, they're kind of technically rodents.
Yeah, more than technically. Your guests got entertainment. And I want to say no harm, no foul on this one. And
no, man, it was traumatic for me.
Mike, what was your excitement this weekend?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So like my life is basically two projects now. It is writing for Lawfare and a couple other writing projects I've got, and taking care of my kid and helping my wife out with that. And the way that we're doing it is sort of unofficial shift work. And one of my shifts is basically I get up super early anyway, so from 4:30 in the morning up until about 8:30 or 9, I have solo time with my son. And he's alert and calm, and generally well behaved during that area. So all we do is like listen to music or I read to him or something. And I'm realizing when you have a kid and you're choosing what to expose him or her to, it sort of forces you to create like your own sort of personal canon of works of literature and music. And I realize this is way premature. Like the kid's 4 weeks old. He's not absorbing any of this. But, it gave me an excuse to like this morning we did the history of early rock and roll and listened to a lot of Screamin' Jay Hawkins and some old blues guitarists and stuff like that. And, it sort of allows you to go back and revisit things that you haven't thought of or that you take for granted as an adult.
I
Enjoy the time of control because pretty soon they'll be
I
just
know.
on video games full time. And if you suggest that they watch any movie or read any book or eat any food, they'll just be like, "Fuck off, man."
One of the only things that I am completely inflexible on as a parent is that we are going to delay getting him a personal screen or even exposing him to ours
Good luck with
as
that.
long as human. No, to the point where I'm trying to talk my wife into private schools that do not use significant amounts of technology in the curriculum because I see how my nephews and niece on both sides are basically just glued to their devices all the time. And, I know a lot of the studies are controversial, but I do think it can't help but affect, because I see it in my own life, one's ability to concentrate, ponder deeply into literature,
I
devote
don't I think the studies are clear that you're right. It's just in practice it gets parenting is a war of attrition. It's a
I know,
trench
I know.
warfare. And it's very hard to sustain when it's so easy just to put on a movie or
And
I
yeah,
whatever,
think,
and
you know?
the
look,
movies I'm fine with. I just want them to be good. I've already
I'm old
started building.
fashioned about this. I think um, we should revert not merely to pre-screens, but all literature should be sung with lyre accompaniment. And and I think actually written, I'm with Socrates about this, writing is bad. It's the oral tradition because then people don't remember things. And so I think we should really go back to memorized sung literature. And
They still do it in parts of the Balkans.
yeah, oh yeah, no, it's a thing. And I think, first of all, that would uh, create a sort of cachet for people who have good memories, which my memory is completely done now. There's no reason to remember anything because your phone will do it for you. Uh, and um, and then and also people who can sing and chant things totally undervalued in this society, but we can bring it back. And I think there should be a place, an honored place in the world for people who can sing basic texts.
I have a couple comments. First of all, I find that I honor your intention, Mike. I think you are correct in your intention, and I hope you succeed. It's early, and I
Yes,
find the people that are the most judgmental, including how many people in the Greek chorus have raised children
quite a few, I'm guessing.
recently. Recently in the screen era, it's very hard. And the other point I want to make is actually what it really comes down to is the parents' own use.
Yeah.
Like my husband and I have had all sorts of grand, resolutions that have lasted like mere hours about the kids' screen time. But we're on our screens. We're on our laptops all the time. We're on our phones all the
I
time.
mean, it's like at 8 in the morning, we're in front of a screen
Yeah,
So
every
and in
unless,
day.
fairness, I've brought Elliot on here.
yeah, I
I
mean, this is different. Obviously, this is worthy of your time. But I just find like it's parents. It starts the parent. It's very difficult to tell children, and you have to model it. Basically, you have to be willing to model it, and you have to really change your own behavior, and that's the main thing. And we have not. I mean, now our kids are basically grown. We're done. We're just like phoning it in at this point. We just throw some food at them every now and then. Um, and and I have to say, like to be honest, my son, my children's attention span and screen time use is more admirable than mine. So my son, we've been watching. We did the whole run of Breaking Bad, and now we just started Better Call Saul. And he makes me put my phone like I cannot touch my phone. Well, he has no problem. He's watching. He's completely enthralled in the. I'm like, where's my phone? Oh, I got a text message. Oh, I got it. And he like yells at me, and I get very upset when he yells at me because I'm like, who is the parent here? Like don't patronize me. But he's so I'm just saying, like, yeah, it really, if you, and I think with most parenting, modeling the behavior is really what it comes down to, whatever behavior you're trying to achieve. But
I,
good luck to you. I have completely failed. I will admit that. My problem is I don't like babies and small children. Friends accepted. Obviously, I make an exception. I still don't. To be honest, I'm probably not. I will tolerate your children, but I will not, and I will honor your, love for your children. But I'm not gonna like. That's not my preferred age. And when they were that age, up until around 5 or 6, I mean, I was just trying to get through the day without shooting myself in the head, and that's like the God's honest truth. That's when I had to get on medication. I just it was so difficult, and yeah, that's how I coped. Here's this, go watch a show. Leave me alone. I'm going in timeout. Like, leave me the fuck alone. And I'm really cursing today, which is not good. I need to get. It's something about the squirrel murder has set me off. Um,
oh,
and and so I just those years are a fog that I was in complete survival mode every single day of those years. And so if you want to judge me for the fact, not you, but just the world out there, which I find non-parents are the worst, actually. If you want to judge my choices and the fact that now my son is addicted to video games, then just go ahead. But you know what? I'm still alive. I didn't kill myself, and my children are still alive, and they're generally doing okay. So,
I've actually got a question based on something you said, because you're one of the few people I know who will probably be, you might be the only person currently listening or talking, including the chorus, who could relate to this. My screen time personally has gone up immensely since I left the Bureau.
of
Because
course.
for close to 20 years, I was in a skiff and a
Yep.
cell phone was not part of my life. And there was a bleed over effect. When I got home, I wasn't attached to it. Now that I've had to like hustle for jobs and I have to follow the news for some of the things I'm doing, and just I don't have the daily social interaction of other people in the vault, it's gotten way worse. Did you
Oh
have
yeah.
a similar experience when you
Oh
left?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Totally. Although I would say you worked longer the hours than me, certainly. And so I still had plenty of home time to get on my screens and whatever. But yeah, no, I actually want to write an article about this, about the severed, the show Severance, the severed lives of intelligence community workers.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like that, and there's good things about it. There's bad things about it, but there's some really great things about it. There's for sort of work-life balance and
That's
all of that.
but that's why we bring classified material home with
Oh
us.
yeah, uh-huh.
Because the severance is too So we have Bring Your Children to Work Day, and we have Bring Your Classified
But
I
Information
do
Home
not
Day.
endorse this. I
well, you
supervise
don't have
no
to because
investigation.
President
I
Trump endorses
count.
it.
Uh,
It depends how important you are. Like if you're not important, you go to jail for that. But if you're a very important person,
the Supreme Court gives you immunity. You're fine.
apparent, well, and further down, I mean, this goes back to like Sandy Berger. Remember, he took all those
He
classified
stuffed them
out
in
of
his
the archive.
pants, quite literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if you have to have the ego and position to pull that off. But yeah. So anyway, judge away, folks. I don't know what to say. Like I'm still alive and I feel I did not commit suicide during my children's little years, which by the way, old ladies in the grocery store, I don't miss those years. I have never they didn't go too fast. They in fact went too slow. I don't miss them a single day of my life. I didn't cherish them at the time. I didn't cherish them when they're little because they grow up fast. They didn't grow up fast. They grew up really, really slow until they became enjoyable. And then they started to grow up too fast. And then now it's too late. So, old ladies at the grocery store, when you see moms with little kids, don't tell them to cherish the time. Don't tell them they grow up too fast. Like, just get your milk and butter and, like, mind your own business.
Wow.
I have a amusing story, Holly, based on something you said, and I'm not going to use names. But there was a turn. There was like a decade-long period where being important did not get you a dispensation anymore for squirreling away classified
When was
documents.
that?
What's that?
When was that?
I think starting during the
No,
increased
Petraeus
need
had
for
to
prosecution.
plead.
Well, I'm not going to use the person's name, but I am personally aware of at least one search of a very famous person who threw a fit when they saw the warrant and complained that it was only signed by a magistrate judge, not a quote, real judge, which is when it dawned on me being important does not actually mean you know the basics of how your country functions.
Or being
How the
important is
judicial
not, you can still be stupid.
Well, you
Yeah,
don't have to because you've got underlings to know how the country functions.
this is someone who should have known.
Um,
Trust me.
all right. Mike, what is on your mind this week as we plow into another week of, everything being exactly as it should be? What are you thinking about this week?
Well, now because of Kate's comments, I'm thinking about Charlie McGonigal. Um, but given that I was remotely involved in that and knew him in a semi-personal capacity for some time, I'm gonna refrain from commenting. But
But if Kate wants to come on and explain what she's talking about, she should feel
well, I
free.
mean, we could give the basics. Charlie McGonigal was a very well-respected, ultimately very senior FBI official. He worked in counterintelligence almost his entire career, ultimately rising to the level of special agent in charge over the New York field office. He retired very abruptly, and it later came out that was because he was doing things, not outright espionage. There was no allegation of mishandling or divulging a classified material, but he was doing favors for foreign nationals he should not have been because of who they were connected to. And there was an inspector general report that came out, I think Friday, which said he had also tipped off Chinese nationals or U.S. associates of Chinese nationals about investigations into those individuals. And this is interesting because the original indictments against him, and there were two, I think one was in D.C., one was in New York. I may be getting the jurisdictions wrong, but I think it was SDNY and DCC. China was not one of the original countries that he was alleged to have been involved with. So it appears he was very dirty across a very wide spectrum of adversaries. I will say, like, I found out about that case pretty early when it was going on, before any of it was public, and it was obviously highly restricted. Um, when that broke publicly, people were heartbroken. I mean, he was not somebody like Earl Pitts or Robert Hansen, who everybody suspected was just weird and was generally unliked and socially misadaptable. He was loved. I've got at least a dozen friends who served directly under him who were heartbroken and angry and shocked, in one case in tears. Like, this is not somebody anybody would have suspected. But the more we find out, the more we realize the rot went really deep.
Interesting. Holly, what's on your mind this week?
Well, I don't have any comment on. I was talking to the Greek chorus. I was once again complaining about small children. Again, I affirm your small children. Ava, I will pretend Ava's quite charming. I have to say, she's quite lovely. The further removed from my own children's small childhood, the more tolerable I find small children. So there is something about getting older that makes you like smaller children. But like, I'm not one of these people. Like, if I meet your baby, Mike, I will ooh and ah, and I will pretend that it's cute, and I saw the pictures and I put a heart or whatever. But to be honest, all babies are kind of the same.
It was a picture of his hand. I'm very much
They're
not
cute. They
posting
have cute
pictures of
chubby
his face.
hands. Yeah. I mean, I love that you've joined this eternal slog that is parenting for the sake of continuing the human race. It's very important. The birth rate's very low. We need him. I need him to pay my Social Security,
Especially because we're not doing immigration anymore.
That's
And
right.
so, you really have it's a three-way choice: immigration, birth rate, or population death spiral. And, I'm agnostic between the first two, but you know, South Korea, Japan, China, the third is not a good choice.
Yeah, I love school age children. I love teenagers. I am happy that people have children. It's a great thing to do. It's just not my thing. And as a woman, by the way, that like women are expected to love babies and small children in a way that men are not expected to do. We're expected to throw the baby showers and like, ooh and on, want to hold the baby and like babysit. And it's like, you know what? Some of us don't like small children, and that's fine. It's not anything personal. It's not like I'm going to go yell at small children. I'm going to be kind. If I'm needed to care for a small child, I can certainly do that in a loving and mannered. It's not my preferred age of
I want
human
to address a disparity in society around this and tie it back to your earlier story. You two are probably never going to speak to me after I verbalize this opinion, but
doubtful.
I hate dogs.
Wow. Wow.
I'm
Today I
like,
kind of agree with you.
what's that? No, I mean, first of all, I'm mildly allergic, so I just
Yeah.
don't like being around them. But also, like,
Yeah.
I've always viewed them as sort of like the frat boys of the animal kingdom. They're sort of loud. They're not good with bodily fluids. They rub up against you without consent on an alarming basis. Like, it's just not something, and I'm sort of opposed to all pets, but dogs in particular. It's way more socially acceptable to get angry about a baby in a restaurant than it is a dog, or
Dog
to
people
dislike
are
children than dogs. And I find that so weird.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. I agree with you, Mike. I will speak to you again. I really, really regret owning a dog. I'm not gonna lie. But here's the other thing I want to say about what's going on in the chat too. Someone said like, did I only have children because of my religion, or whatever? Look, here's the other misnomer. Okay, you can dislike certain ages of children, and you can still love your children. You can still want to have children. I always said I had children because I wanted to eventually have adult children, and that's going really well for me. Actually, I'm at the stage now that they're basically adults, or they're far enough along that I mean, I went to my
How do the kids feel about this speech?
they don't like small children either. I'm like, I asked my daughter, I'm like, do you want to babysit? People are, once she reached a certain age, a lot of people, wanted her to, does your daughter want to babysit, whatever. And she's like, no.
Wow.
If I could ask, how old were you when you first had your children?
33.
See, I'm pushing 50 and
Yeah,
just
I think
getting
it's definitely
started.
different. Yeah.
Well, I'm finding I'm the only one of well, I have one friend who also has young children and he's my age, but he also has an 18-year-old from his previous marriage. Um, so I find I'm coming into this, like, I just find I'm approaching it much more phlegmatically than my friends who had them in their 20s and
Yeah,
30s
no,
did.
it's absolutely true. In fact, I was just having this conversation with my husband because I guess I don't know how we got on the subject, but we got on the subject of like, what if, even though it's impossible at this point, but what if we had another child? And I was like, I tell you what, I would be totally, I look back at the things that I got worked up about when they were little, and I'm just like, why? Just okay, so they're crying. Like, okay. That's what children do,
Yeah.
but at the time it was like I had some mental health issues, and I had extenuating circumstances when my kids were little, but I literally had a panic attack in my car because my daughter she woke up. This is my first child. She was crying. It was her feeding time, and we were stuck in traffic, and I couldn't. It was going to be like 30 minutes, and there was nothing I could do for her. And I literally I melted down, and I
Mhm.
had to call my husband, and he had to like talk me through. I couldn't get out of the car. I couldn't do anything. I just had to keep driving in the traffic jam. And I literally and now I'm just like, girl, why? Like babies cry, so they don't get fed like immediately. Like she's fine, you know? But I
All
just
right.
didn't have that.
I want to say a word in defense of small children and babies
Oh,
because
you're not alone. I'm the
no,
misanthrope.
no,
I'm
no.
the horrible
No,
person, not you, Ben.
I have a dog who's barking,
Squirrel murdering,
and
maybe.
being a frat girl of the animal kingdom here. But look, exactly none of our current American
Oh, now my
predicament.
dog, my dog hears your dog barking, and now my dog is.
Yeah, exactly none of our current American predicament is uh, a result of the choices of small children. Um, uh, no small child, not one, voted for Donald Trump. Um, not a single one. Not a single small child uh, is responsible for the fact that Dan Bongino is the deputy director of the FBI. Um, and so I just want to say, you are, Holly, are focused on the wrong age demographic as the problem. The I met a little girl the other day at the dog park, and she was extremely excited that Cleo, the dog's name was Cleo, because she assumed Cleo was short for Cleopatra, and she was very into Greek mythology. And I told her that Cleo actually is not named for Cleopatra. She's named for Cleo, the muse of history. And the little girl got very excited because she knows the names of all the nine muses. And this was probably a 6-year-old or something. So I just want to say I am pro small child. And I think you, as a Gen Xer who is partly responsible for this situation, as are we all, are deflecting attention and blame onto the babies and the small children when it's our fault.
Oh, I acknowledge it's like the screen time. I acknowledge that I have completely badly parented my children. Like I agree with the screen time thing. I have not done that because I, as I said, was just trying to get through each day. And I also agree that I am a terrible person, that good people like small children and babies and
I don't
something,
think
and
that's true.
especially, but I will say the judgment is worse for women, and that's just sexist. Like, why? I always tell my husband, like, when, why, I wasn't born with a gene that doesn't find poop and vomit disgusting. Like, actually, I find it a lot less disgusting than him just because I was raised in a boarding school and I'm just used to it. But I was not raised with, like, don't even get me started. I will not get me started on breastfeeding. I have very strong anti opinions. It literally nearly caused my suicide. I'm not even kidding. I hated like that is not you're not born maternal. You have to like well, some people are, I suppose, but a lot of us, like, you have to grow, you have to figure out what this is. You have to get to know the child. You have to develop you're not just like immediately, maternal. And you don't if just because you're a woman doesn't mean you just adore babies and that's your thing. Like there are other things in the world that women enjoy and are interested in. And it's so I admit that I'm a horrible person, but I'm not any more horrible than a man who dislikes babies and small children.
Agreed, agreed. You are no more horrible than a man who dislikes babies and small children.
But I am horrible. I admit. I do not dispute this.
Just ask the squirrel.
Yeah.
Mike,
Exactly.
what
I'm a squirrel accessory to murder.
You're basically like the villain in the Rats of Nim or Watership Down at this point.
I don't know that I know
I
that reference, but
I know
Oh,
that.
yeah.
you're missing both our children's books and films, which are totally enjoyable
Oh, the
for
Rats of
adults.
Nim. I think I've heard of that, but
The
I don't
Rats
know
of
it.
Nim,
Yeah.
National Institute of Mental Health, the
Okay.
rats that are experimented on in Escape,
Oh.
and Watership
The
Down.
book from which I learned the word lee, as in the lee of the stone,
Yeah.
um, uh, uh, which I learned in, I don't know, second or third grade from the Rats of NIMH and have never forgotten.
Can I
Oh,
just say, go
Watership
ahead.
Down is absolutely worth reading as an adult. It's a great novel. It's just the main characters are rabbits, but it's very much worth picking up.
Can I just say, you know, I admit I'm a horrible person. However, I just to say a word about like the joys of having children. Maybe you don't like every age and every stage, and that's fine. But now I'm at this
Or
stage.
every child. I mean,
You're-
let's be honest. I mean, some of them are better than others.
Well, some are easier than others. There's no question about that. But even the ones that aren't as easy as the others have their, you know, have their joys and things like that. So, but now I'm at the age now where like my kids are, you can see who they are as like people, and you can connect with them, as individual human beings rather than just as they're a child or, of that just blob of what children are. And it's just really cool. Like we have, I went to the Taylor Swift thing with my daughter. We're watching shows with my son, and they're funny and they're interesting. And, and they do things like the day my book was released and I was away. They weren't able to come with me to Michigan for the event with Kristen Dume, but I get a text from my daughter saying, I'm so proud of you, Mom. Like, I mean, come on, man. It's just, oh, my son wanted me to he wanted his own copy of the book made out to him. So I signed it to him, and he has his own copy of the book. And so that's
And this,
pretty
just
cool.
so that you know, people, is the person who Holly routinely says would comfortably live with her dead
Dead
body
body.
um, uh, until he ran out of things to eat.
It's true. He's getting a little better. He's getting a little better. So I mean, I am, there were some really hard years there, but I mean, and I don't know, they're not adults yet, and things can always go awry. But I'm very glad I had children. They're great people, you know? And also, I maintain, and there was an article I was going to send you in the Atlantic. I was just going to send to the group. I think was an older article that was rerun that popped up in my feed. But literally the studies, the twin studies, so much of this is just hardwired genetic. I mean, your parenting. Tear my hair out over these DC area parents that are basically like tiger moms and dads and try to do they have to do everything right, and they're like doing all of the whatever, and they're breastfeeding their children until they're like 7 years old, and because of so they can be go to Harvard and blah 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 blah. And it's like, if you read the studies, like, I think it's genetic and it's role modeling. They watch you and they see, for instance, how how you interact with the other parent.
Well, I
And
just want to say I am exactly the opposite of Holly. I love all babies and all toddlers,
he's a good person.
and I hate teenagers. And and um I don't think there's any problem with any teenager that cannot be solved with a firearm. And and but until they're
Quickly.
Not advocate shooting babies,
but
just to be
until
clear.
they're 12, I adore them. And you know, and actually, like, after they pass 1920, they get delightful again. But there is this 7 year period where um they are best left bound and gagged in a dark place. Um
The insolence, and like, you know like bad, I find it kind of amusing. They think they're so cool, and they're just, if you just kind of remember that they're deeply insecure and don't have a, they don't know what they're doing, and they're just trying to sort of figure out things. It's quite funny, actually. Teenagers are quite, until they commit crimes. I do not.
I think
Teenagers that are actual criminals are another whole thing.
I think I was at my peak when I was a teenager. I
I
mean,
was a
it's
great
been
teenager.
downhill.
I
I
told
mean,
my
it's when I was the most intellectually curious. I was the most voracious reader I've ever been during those years. It's when I discovered all the filmmakers that have enriched my life immeasurably. Um, I don't know. I, I, I don't think I was a terrible teenager for the adults.
so good. I was so good because I was terrified. I indicated to my parents, who, anyway, that's another whole thing, but maybe I'm going through my adolescence now. So they had a perfect child as a teenager, and at boarding school, like, even better. Like, send your kids to boarding school, and let them parent your children, and then your child, as far as you're concerned, your child's delightful, and completely, and whatever problems they're having, they're not showing you anyway. So, but then they get to be 50 years old, and then they write a book that's problematic.
Look,
So
nobody gets through unscathed. You can think you did, but then you write a book when you're 50. You can think you were at your best, but then, you become friends with Pete Strzok and it ruins your career at the FBI. Um, the searing violence of the teenage years against all of us. But until there's no way to avoid it. And even when you think you've had a delightful teenager, then she turns around and writes a book about how psychopathic you were later.
no,
Um,
it's not the book. To be clear, the book is really not about my parents at all. So
no, it just has a few drive-bys. Um, uh, but those are some monologues in Dog Shirt TV. Um, Look, folks, I didn't know what this show was going to be about. I didn't know it was going to be about squirrel
dog hating.
anti-squirrel violence and hating babies. But I didn't know it was going
I
to
don't
be.
hate babies. I just don't enjoy them.
I don't know. There's some hatred is creeping through
I,
here.
I just
I
you
didn't know that there was
Yeah,
going to
Ali,
be like an.
I'm not getting the impression of somebody who is equanimity is not the adjective I would use to
Yeah,
describe the feelings
and let's
expressed.
be honest, I didn't know that Mike doesn't like dogs. I mean,
Because
yeah.
I don't make a thing of it. I mean,
Mike,
all
when you
my
move back
friends
to
have them, so like I
you
don't
tell me when you
process
move
that.
back to DC, you bring your baby over here. My dog will attack you, and your baby will attack me, and we'll be easier.
yeah,
Right, right.
it's gonna be great. Folks, we're gonna be back tomorrow. Maybe we'll have a guest to
Maybe
avoid another
Ava,
show
maybe
like
Ava
another
will come on and
anti-baby,
taunt me.
anti-dog show, like today. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just do it again. Uh, you know, tune in and find out.